Real Nerds is a proud partner of the Denver Podcast Network. In the shadow of the mountains,
we speak.
Oh, hi, podcast listeners. There's many ways you can listen to the Real Nerds podcast. You can subscribe on iTunes. You can also subscribe on Stitcher Radio. You want to send us a Twitter message? You can do that. It's so easy, at Real Nerds. Like us on Facebook, Real Nerds Podcast. You can visit our website, realnerdspodcast.com, where there'll be a lot of articles for you to not only read, but to listen to our previous shows. You can also call us, 720-6nerds5. Thanks for listening, and enjoy the show.
Coming to you from the X-Axis, it's John of All Trades with your host, John X.
Welcome to this John of All Trades podcast promo. Each Wednesday, I bring you a brand new interview with someone fascinating and ask the question we all ask when we meet someone new. Hey, what do you do? It's fun, informative, and it's the 2017 Westward Reader's Choice Award winner for Best Denver Podcast, iTunes, Stitcher, and johnofalltrades.us.
Hi, this is Dave Callahan, creator of Jean-Claude Van Johnson.
And this is Peter Atencio, the director of Jean-Claude Van Johnson, and you're listening to the Real Nerds Podcast.
Welcome to Real Nerds Podcast, unofficially the official podcast of Denver Comic-Con 2018 and beyond. I am Zach for the 100th fucking time.
Who knew we would ever get here?
Yeah, and this is the thing. It's only me and Brad today, guys, so the 100th episode of Zach
scared our other co-hosts away.
Yeah, not only that, but apparently, and scared Henry all the way to New York.
It scared Henry so much he's not talked to us in like 3 weeks. So,
but I'm sure they'll be back next week. It's kind of shitty in Denver right now.
Yeah, the weather's bad. Ryan's working. James is working.
Yeah, so we had to decide if it was just going to be us or getting a couple of trained dogs to replace Brad, Ryan, and James, and then I would play myself because I already sound like a stupid dog. So,
but we figured this would be better.
Yeah, I know, you know.
Actually, it's not a total loss because Ryan did write in to congratulate you.
Yeah.
Earlier this week.
Yeah, so we can talk about that because he also reviewed the movie too. So we can talk about that when we get to our movie.
What? No, let's talk about it in fan mail.
Okay, fine. Do you want to do it that way?
Here's fan mail.
You know what? It's fine. You know what? You've been here longer than I have.
I'm hijacking this show.
You're hijacking it. But every week we go see a new movie and we podcast our experience of the world. This week we saw Pacific Rim Uprising. Was that brawl between the kaiju and the Jaegers worth seeing a second time? I guess we'll find out at the end of the show. But we also talk about movie news, what's been coming out and on Blu-ray and DVD, and we get fan mail.
And what we've been watching.
And what we've been watching, yeah. So, on that note, why don't we kick off that fan mail and get it out of the way?
Fan mail! Yeah, probably the show's biggest fan, Ryan Frost, wrote in, congratulating you on your 100th episode.
His biggest fan. It's James's mom, and then Ryan himself.
Right, okay. My mistake. He said, "Hey, nerds, sorry I couldn't make it for Zach's 100th episode, but thank you, Zach. You've made the Real Nerds better with all your documentary watching. And Jack Benny, loving self. Thanks for being a friend and a fellow nerd." And there's more, but we'll address that at the end of the show.
Yeah, and then after that bit, it was congrats, Zach, Ryan. And so, yeah, cool. Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate it. You know, I know that I can't be as awesome as you in the ways of many things, but when it does come to Jack Benny, I am pretty awesome.
You're the expert on this show.
I know.
No one can dispute that.
By the way, it's honestly the most useless senior analyst position to have in any podcast, to be honest. I mean, like, honestly, like, I want to see if WTF has a senior Jack Benny analyst on that show. I mean, it's probably just Mark in a wig.
I mean, someday when they get around to making that Jack Benny biopic, this podcast is going to be first in line for downloads because... You know, we're playing the long game.
If they ever do a documentary on him, They should just interview me, but in a series of different wigs and dresses and get-ups. Like, it'll be like my Eddie Murphy performance.
It'll be like one of those, like Ray or like one of those reboots where it's like, I guess, a dramatization.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, they'll tap you for like...
All the different experts.
You'll be like Gary Oldman. They'll just put you in a ton of Jack Benny makeup until you look exactly like him.
Actually, it's like, not to tail too far off on that, but I have tried to figure out how you would do that biopic, and it doesn't. It's very fucking hard because he wasn't a horrible, shitty man. So
not a lot of drama in that.
No, I mean there is a story to tell, but it's more of a emotional, human, like, self-awareness film. But that's not here for this podcast. That's for another podcast called Zach Talks About His Dreams That'll Die.
Should we talk about where I've been around town?
I think we should, because I'm going to derail this off somewhere else.
Here's what's going on around town.
Yes, here's what's going on around town.
Hey, film buddies, follow me around Denver.
Midnight Madness at the Esquire this week is The Room and the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
You're tearing me apart, Brad.
And then, congratulations. You said the most obvious thing.
Is that really what I think it is next week? I'm sorry, I'm seeing his screen, but it's Get Out?
No, that's April 6th and 7th.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's Monday right now, this Friday,
Yeah.
Saturday.
Yeah, this
March 30th and 31st.
Yeah.
And then just jumping ahead, April 6th and 7th the following week is Get Out.
I guess that seems okay.
Went out, part of my watching, I'll explain, but I found out firsthand that they programmed Get Out just because they wanted to get it out there more, to more people. More opportunities for people to enjoy the movie.
There you go.
In the theater. So
nice.
And then maybe a little bit more ahead was it's pretty interesting because it's not a regularly programmed thing. They're April 13th and 14th. They're showing Deep Red by Dario Argento. I saw the trailer. It's pretty messed up. So
that sounds like a Dario Argento movie.
Yeah, it's pretty shocking. So that's different. They usually program a lot of stuff over and over again. So when I see these, first time things, I don't know.
Maybe April's their secret month where you have to
unload because after that it's the Maltese Falcon, and then after that it's the Belladonna Sadness. So
which you've already
they
discussed
really changed
on
it
a
up.
Previous episode.
Yeah, also not a fun watch. That's what's. Oh wait, it was Screen Nights tomorrow, so you probably won't hear this by then. So that doesn't matter. Yeah.
How was Open Screen Night, Brad?
It was pretty awesome. It was the best one we've ever had.
I heard someone got shot there, man, like outside.
Yeah, I mean, it was part of the show. We're really pushing the boundaries of what a show can be and how you can experience it and then not experience anything ever again.
You're like Divine in Female Trouble. You're going to make murder in art.
Take your word for it, because I've never seen that.
There you go.
And that's what's going on around town.
It is coming to Criterion this summer, so you can check it out there.
Is that a segue for
it is a segue to DVDs and Blu-rays.
DVD releases and Blu-rays.
Well, if you hated The Last Jedi, you can protest by not buying it on 4K and Blu-ray. There's a couple different editions.
Are you kidding me?
Well, I know.
There's a Walmart edition, there's a Target edition, there's a Best Buy edition.
I was underselling it.
4K, Blu-ray, DVD. You have so many choices. Digital, you could have actually watched it already.
But yeah, no, the Steelbook looks pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's based on one of the large cardboard displays in the theater. Yeah. So they took the art from that. So a little unsymmetrical. I do like the main poster for its symmetry. Yeah. So unfortunately that won't be on the 4K Blu-ray that I reserved. So
the Target one looks like a mess.
But I think it's the Digibook version, so you'll probably get some printed pages that are really nice inside it.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think. I can't see it here, but that's usually what they do.
Yeah, it's it looks interesting. But outside of Star Wars: The Last Jedi, you can also get Killer Clowns from Outer Space coming to Blu-ray from Arrow, which I've never seen that film before.
Me neither.
But it's the Chiquito brothers, I think it's their name. Like they make very strange films.
Chiodo
brothers. That's it. Yes,
Chiquito brothers.
They make interesting films.
They make banana films.
Chiquito films. Yes. Oh my God, the Donkey Kong movie brought to you by Chiquita. Let's make it happen, guys. The Outer Limits Season 1 is coming to Blu-ray, which I think is from actually an outside company. It's not anything major. So here's hoping we get a Season 2 of The Outer Limits because it's pretty cool. It's not the Twilight Zone, but it's just as fun. One that Brad will be interested in, Sub-Zero, Batman and Mr. Freeze, 1998's direct-to-video Batman animated movie.
Pretty sure, yeah.
But that's coming to you from Warner Archive, I believe.
Yeah.
Because it's one you had to do the made-on-demand.
Yeah, but they said that for Mask of the Phantasm, and Best Buy had it, so whatever.
Oh, well, there you go. You can get the first season of Legion, the FX show that I haven't seen, but want to because it sounds pretty messed up. Yeah. If you wanted to celebrate the 15th anniversary of the remake of Freaky Friday, now's your chance. Revisit Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan switching minds to learn what it's like to be the other person. And then you can get Mr. Robot Season 3.0. I guess that's a joke about how it's about technology. I've never seen the show, so.
Yeah, me neither.
I don't know. And then it looks like Scanners is coming back to Criterion because I believe they went out of print with that, so maybe this is a reissue of it.
Really? They released that one not that long ago.
Well, I tried looking for it, and they said it was out of stock, so maybe this is their second wave or something. You can also get Paul Whiteman and the King of Jazz, which is an early 1930 film about Paul Whiteman and his jazz band, which is actually one of the first musicals that Universal ever did, and kind of pioneered the way through with two-strip Technicolor. But you can get that on Criterion. I know I'll be picking that up. And then, lastly, we're going to get to the Scream Factory of it all, because it's kind of a crowded week. You can get the Steelbook editions of the previously released Assault on Precinct 13 and Prince of Darkness, two John Carpenter films right back at you. And they're nice Steelbooks. The artwork is fucking fantastic. But the newest release is going to be Behind the Mask: The Rise of Leslie Vernon in a collector's edition,
which I'm sure Ryan's already got pre-ordered.
And I believe I have it pre-ordered. I have to check my account. But that's a good movie. It was on, I think it was on Ryan's list from the 2006 film Explosion. So, and then outside of that, a lot of anime. The Sandlot coming back.
That's anime?
No, I'm just listing off all the what I see here.
It's okay. Really you can move on.
It really is not much. Yeah, it's just Star Wars is really the main thing. Speaking of Star Wars, there's some news about Star Wars this week. So why don't we unspool that real news?
Stop leaving fake pauses.
No, I'm sorry. I'm trying. My computer's
so hard to edit.
No, my computer's slowing down.
It's real news.
Did you know there was an original ending for Episode 9 that Mark Hamill decided to just reveal because fuck it?
Episode 9?
Yeah, the
one they're making right now?
When George Lucas was going to do it.
Oh.
Yeah, so the quote here says that apparently the original plan was for Luke to train his sister Leia in the ways of the Force. After that, he'd die. The quote specifically is, "I happen to know that George didn't kill Luke until the end of Episode 9 after he trained Leia, which is another thread that was never played upon in The Last Jedi."
Why would he die from training?
I don't know.
Like he just trained so hard, like he was doing CrossFit, like so intensely.
I mean, we saw how fit Hamill looked getting ready just for like no lines at the end of Episode 7. So I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's not like he's like way older than Leia.
Yeah, I mean,
so I don't know why he was gonna die.
And like, with all due respect, like he's more alive than Leia right now. So
yeah, that he definitely won that battle.
I know. So he made a good point though about it. Like, this is more like a passing the baton kind of deal. The way they're doing Star Wars now, as opposed to this grand complex plan that George had. So, which I honestly kind of like, because I now never know what's going to happen. Like, anything could happen.
And plus, they're not just making 3 more movies, so
yeah,
they got to build a whole new Star Wars universe, basically.
Yep, exactly. Further in the Star Wars news, we also got some more Solo info. Couple different things. The main thing, though, We got some details on the villain, and we finally figured out what Phil Lord and Chris Miller are going to be credited as on that movie, as executive producers. So that question's finally answered.
Cool.
It means, or it tells me that Ron Howard did way more than just reshoots.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so which I know they've been kind of talking about, like...
Yeah, they said he pretty much upended that movie, so...
Yeah, so... and then apparently, like, some actor came out and said that, like, everything was, like... going to hell, and Phil Lord and Miller shouldn't have been there, but I don't know. It's an anonymous source, so it's specious at best. We can now turn to another part of the Disney family in the Marvel universe. Captain Marvel is going to bring back Clark Gregg as Agent Coulson, and we're also going to get the return of Djimon Hounsou and Lee Pace from Guardians of the Galaxy, their characters. So
Djimon Hounsou.
Djimon Hounsou. Did the way I say it sound terribly offensive?
No, it was wrong, and I didn't remember. I can't remember what you said. It was so weird.
I said Djimon Hounsou,
like Dijon mustard.
Okay,
jerk.
Cool. I never said I was good at reading. But yeah, cool. We get the return of Clark Gregg. He's been having fun on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I'm way behind on.
Must be some kind of prequel if Ronan the Accuser's back.
Yeah, so we'll see how that plays out and whatnot. And
like a weird connection to Guardians of the Galaxy, because like Djimon Hounsou was one of the like people tracking Star-Lord in the opening credits. So.
Right. Yeah, that's why I was like, he was the one that I was more confused about, because like Ronan the Accuser can make sense, just because it's supposed to take place in the 90s. You know, you can kind of throw into that, or maybe it connects to Guardians 3 somehow.
I don't know. I don't know enough about Marvel.
You know, well, I don't know. I don't know anything about nothing, but yet I'm making a guess.
That's irresponsible.
Also coming out, apparently Steven Spielberg says that Tintin 2 is still happening, which I was like, okay. I liked Tintin 1. The question is, how many people saw the first one and will come back? But apparently, yeah, he says Peter Jackson's still attached to direct it and that it's still going to happen.
So it's really up to Peter Jackson to make it happen.
Yeah.
So Spielberg is like, I did my part.
Yeah. But Peter Jackson's just like, I made The Hobbit. I want a break.
I got to go work on Indiana Jones 5 or West Side Story. Still deciding.
He was also supposed to do some kind of like Italian thriller, kind of like spy thriller or something like that fell through, which then he ended up making The Post instead. So he's got a lot of fires in the burners in the fire, you know. He does what he wants to do. And then Disney's this just came out today. Disney's developing a Disneyland grad night movie. And if you don't know what that is, anybody out there, like, it's a tradition for a lot of California high schools. Like, after their graduation, they spend the night at Disneyland. My cousin did it, actually. So I don't know.
So look for graduation night in theaters.
Yeah, because 2019. Basically, they get the entire park to themselves. There's no one except for outside of the chaperones, I'm assuming,
and
because there's
the other schools.
Yeah, so you know, it's just that. So
some little turf wars.
You know what? You know what it reminds me of? You know that movie that you saw, the drive-in movie where they took all the people they didn't want in society and put them in the drive-in and then locked the doors. I think it's like the Drive-In from Hell or something like that. It's like a exploitation film, and it like they turn it into their own community. I want this to be like that, but with Disneyland. So they put all the recent graduates in there, and then they lock the door, and then they say, fight.
So the Warriors Disneyland?
Yeah.
The Warriors, Disneyland.
Come out and play! Yeah, I should have gone to the Warriors first for that reference. Netflix news, if you like Monty Python, hold on to your butts. The entire most of the Monty Python comedy catalog is coming to the service this year.
Okay.
So you're going to get The Flying Circus, most of the stand-up specials, probably the first clip show film, and if all goes well with all the different studios that own them, you're going to get the 3 movies, which are Holy Grail, Life of Brian, and Meaning of Life. So, and maybe they'll do something with that oratorio they did for Life of Brian. That'd be nice. I love Monty Python, so I will definitely.
Will they live stream Spam-A-Lot?
You know, that'd be cool. I think I think it's like off tour now. Like they haven't tried to revive it or anything. But I got to see it at the Buell, and it was fucking funny. And
I've never seen it.
The beauty of it is they make you find the Grail by playing with the audience at the end. It's fucking awesome. Like it's stuck behind someone's seat.
Cool.
So yeah, like I said, if you haven't got Netflix, do your silly walk over to the computer and get that service going. We also got some really cool new Avengers posters today, which I thought were pretty cool. Like they're color coordinated and whatnot. So like the red has Tony, Doctor Strange, and Spider-Man. Here I have them right here. They're all right here. It's like blue ones here. Like they're pretty nice.
To make up for that mess of another poster.
Yeah.
With everyone on it.
Yep. So this one kind of splits everybody up. So like yellow has Scarlet Witch.
You mean all the colors are based on Infinity Stones?
Mm-hmm. That's right. Although, of course, they would have the Hulk's poster be green. I mean,
of course.
Yeah. So
if you didn't, the nerds would complain.
Be like, why?
Actually, they probably should have done that so they get people talking about it.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
And then the last thing I have in news is the most interesting because it's so interesting I have to say it in an old-timey voice. Dateline today. First crazy image of Tom Hardy playing Al Capone, world famous gangster. Yeah. Apparently Tom Hardy's going to be playing Al Capone in a movie directed by Josh Trank, most famously known for Chronicle and Fan Four Stick. So the first image of him as Al Capone came out today. He looks okay. It's and to be fair, like the way they're describing the film is that it's not like a biopic or anything. It's what do you call it? A kind of like a reimagining of that Capone story and whatnot, but it like parallels heavily. So, but honestly, I mean, I can see him pulling off that look and whatnot. I mean, I don't know. Maybe get rid of the tattoos, but I think those are just on Tom Hardy himself. So
yeah, I think they can. I think they can fix that
and whatnot. But it's nice. Like I liked Chronicle, and I had a lot of problems with Fan Four Stick, but I mean, shit happens. It's a studio movie, and frankly, they don't know how to do Fantastic Four to begin with. So, maybe Josh Trank doesn't need to be in the studio mode. Maybe he can kind of do these fun films, So yeah, and that is news. And
except for because we didn't talk about it last week, Toys R Us is closing up shop.
Yep, and on top of it, the founder died.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sad because I'm pretty sure everybody, that was a big, fun place to go to get toys as a kid. And
I think all of us were Toys R Us kids.
We've already lost KB Toys, but the weird thing is, I guess KB Toys is coming back mostly online. And everyone's excited about it, except for the fact that if they did their research, KB Toys is also owned by the same parent company as Toys R Us. So it seems like a bit of a smoke and mirrors switcheroo. It sucks that larger companies own the things we love, and yeah,
but I mean, like I was driving in my Uber car on the way home from work, and I saw the Toys R Us sign going out of business, and I was like, "Fuck!"
Yeah,
that's where I got all my Legos. And
I went in there, and they're only doing 5% to 10%. Like they say up to 30%, but the 30% is some obscure thing that you would never want. So most
Jack Benny figure,
yeah, 30% off is that. Yeah, the exclusive NECA Hot Toys Jack Benny. But yeah, like the Legos are only 5% off. So, and yet people are like, hell yeah, I'll take 5. Like, if they were smart, you leave the stock on the shelf and force them to bring it down to 30. But if you want to have less than a regular, weekend sale discount, go for it.
It takes a while too. Like Second Spin took a while to chop their prices down on new items, and even then, I think we only
I think they at least started at 20.
Yeah,
so you're getting like less than your tax off at 5%.
Oh well.
Anyway,
Toys R Us. Someone find Jeffrey a home at the zoo or something. I think he needs it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't really have the best segue for this, but we're just going to jump into what's playing at the Alamo this week.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Kevin Smith.
Hi, I'm Leonard Maltin.
Hi, I'm Mark Hamill.
Hi, I'm Elijah Wood.
This is Seth Rogen.
I'm Christopher Mintz-Plasse.
I'm Martin Starr.
Welcome to the Alamo Draft Time.
Well, that's today. So, if you're listening to this on Tuesday in the past, you can go to the Back to the Future movie party, which is probably already sold out at Sloan's Lake.
And if you went to that instead of open screen night, you're an asshole. So there's that.
Yeah. I'll be at work, so I'll have no gumption on either.
What's next?
I don't know. Sorry. On Wednesday, it's going to be Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers for the Graveyard Shift at 7:30.
I'll be at that one.
Yep. So you can go see Brad and watch him watch Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers. Go up to him afterward and be like, "So what'd you think, Brad?" And he'll be like, "Leave me alone."
Back off, creep.
At Sloan's Lake, you can watch on Wednesday. The DocuWest film series is doing Resistance is Life at 7:30. Speaking of DocuWest, we'll be holding that at Sloan's Lake again this year in the fall, and I'm going to be programming for them again, so that'll be fun. The kids camp for this whole week, by the way, is Fantastic Mr. Fox and at the Sloan's Lake, and All Dogs Go to Heaven at the Littleton. So you can check those out if you want to do the kids camp. And then at Sloan's Lake, 7 Deadly Sins with Tom Hagerman on Saturday, the 31st at 7 p.m. And then on Sunday, April 1st at Littleton, and Sloan's Lake, you have your choice of zombie movies. At Littleton, they have The Return of the Living Dead at 4:45, and at Sloan's Lake, they have Night of the Living Dead 4K restoration at 6:45 p.m. So I'm torn. Like, I'd love to see either of those things. Probably Night of the Living Dead, though, on that restoration, because I want to see that on a big screen, even though I already own it. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, blown up, it'll still look really sharp. So.
Yeah. And then also, they don't mention it on here, but I believe on Sunday, April 1st, since Ready Player One is opening, they're going to be doing their cereal party again at Littleton. So that'll be fun. I always wanted to go to one of those, but I never had the time or money to do it. So now I do, and I'm going to make that a reality if possible. So anyway, that's what's playing at the Alamos. Awesome. You know what? Before we talk about an amazing brawl between robots and aliens, I think we should talk about what else we've been watching this week.
So, yeah, this is the stuff we've been watching.
Brad, what did you watch this week?
Oh, so much. Sorry, I'm looking at this I Kill Giants, but also Infinity War poster, and it didn't take me to where I wanted, so let's just skip that. While I'm getting my list up, I'm also going to talk about, I forgot to say that I read that the Super Mario Brothers movie is getting a 4K restoration by somebody.
What?
So I'm really excited if that's true.
Wait.
Because you can't even get it on Blu-ray right now.
But
unless you're in the United Kingdom.
So that's like the crazy billionaire who has nothing better to do, right?
And thank him, because
yeah.
I want that movie in like the best picture possible, because it's awful for like if you're like a Super Mario Brothers fan, but I'm a fan, but I also like weird things, so
yeah,
I embrace the weirdness.
I remember when I was a kid, like the beginning happened, like the video game dinosaurs and that Brooklyn voice, and I was like, this doesn't look right.
And also, I found it today, its production design makes sense because the directors also created Max Headroom.
Ah,
so I think they were like, oh, that's like video in a movie that's a little game-like, and it's the early 90s, so, it also, people don't acknowledge enough that it's like one of the first, I think even before or like at the same time as Jurassic Park, it's as far as like CGI in a movie, a lot of computer graphics, and there's like a lot of technical achievements that don't get recognized for that movie, so
yeah.
The people who made it are actually still pretty proud of it.
Even though I mean, I've maybe watched it once or twice after the first time I saw it as a kid, and I think one of them was for a Rift Tracks or How Did This Get Made, co-opt with it, where I would watch one or the other, and I mean, it's what it is. I mean, I wish Bob Hoskins didn't break his body doing it, but
yeah,
so be it. And
speaking of billionaires, if I become a billionaire, I'll fix that cliffhanger.
So there's now 2 of the 5 real nerds have billionaire dreams that are specifically related to franchises that
Yeah.
no one wants or people want, but we can't get off the ground.
If I get pulled into a Disney meeting, they're like, all right, here's the keys of the kingdom. What do you want to make? I'll be like, I want to finish that Super Mario Brothers trilogy you started.
but there was actually 6 movies planned.
And they'll be
Great,
like-
let's do it.
And they're like, get out. So the real thing I watched this week, let's start with The Death of Stalin.
Oh, the satire film.
Yeah, I'm doing air quotes, comedy. No, I'm sure it's really funny to people who like political stuff.
Yeah.
It's well made. It's smart, but it's something that just went over my head. It's also, this is a time before I was born. I'm sure to like 50 and 60-year-olds, like they can keep up, but it's so fast paced. It's from a time that we didn't even really study in high school that well. Yeah, the pace is so fast. There's no real breathing room. Everyone is just constantly talking.
Dialogue heavy, like kind of cross talking and whatnot.
Yeah, like
overlapping. Sorry, yeah.
It's almost happening in real time because the movie Joseph Stalin dies abruptly, and all the people under him are trying to rectify the situation because they want to like celebrate him, but they also sort of want change, but they don't want to be revolutionary in the eyes of the people, like too revolutionary. But because at the time Stalin is dying, like hundreds of people are getting just hauled off to death, death squads, just because Joseph Stalin said so.
Because he was a paranoid fuckwad.
Yeah. So the people under him are like, we love Stalin, but that's not a great thing for our people. But if we say that we want to change that, that's like an affront to Stalin, and then they'll want to like harm us. So very complicated. And there's like power struggles between the people within his regime. So it's an interesting watch, and I'm sure you'll like it if like you're familiar with that time and you like political things. It's also like there's a lot of the funniest scenes are just like all the people, like Steve Buscemi's in this movie. What's his name from Arrested Development? Jeffrey Tambor. Eric Idle. Speaking of Monty Python.
Ooh.
I think that
I didn't see him in the trailer.
Or no, maybe it's Michael Palin. Sorry.
Either way, you get a Python in there. You set.
Yeah, I think those are the most famous. Oh no, Jason Isaacs, also from Star Trek Discovery, he's in there too. All great performances, all in their game. Like they all feel like real people, except for the fact they either speak, because they're supposed to be Russian, but they either speak just straight up American or some form of British. So that's funny. Because Steve Buscemi's just he's Steve Buscemi is Nikita Khrushchev in the movie, but he's pretty much like talking like a character from Reservoir Dogs or something,
Nice.
But like I said, everyone's just in the moment, and everyone's constantly talking. And so if you're not familiar with the events, so like the ending is a surprise to me. But yeah, if you're not familiar with events, you have no time to stop and think about what's happening. Like you're constantly being fed new information. So
it feels weird. I think we know about the Cold War, but like only in like fragments to a degree.
Yeah, Russia's bad, America's good.
Like, I think I got a little bit more technical education on it when I was in high school, but then again, like when you went to high school, when I went to high school is not too far apart, but like far enough apart where some things are like added into that curriculum.
Yeah, I think our school, we kind of just, once we got to the Industrial Revolution, everything kind of slowed down, and like I think we got to World War II in the basics, and so you never touched on like Vietnam or post World War II stuff.
Well, we definitely tackled Vietnam.
Yeah.
That's how I first saw Platoon. But right on, I want to check it out.
Yeah. Then I also saw a midnight screening of A Moonrise Kingdom, and I've talked about it a ton before on the earliest episodes of this show, so I'm not going to go into detail. But the one thing I noticed this time was I was impressed with, a couple weeks ago I was at something where the audience was constantly chatting or throwing lines at the screen, obnoxiously taking me out of it. But the Moonrise Kingdom, from like the first frame, people were quiet and like just you could feel the room was sucked in to this movie. So that was like pleasant experience.
That's what happens when you put a good movie on that Midnight Madness thing.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, granted, a Wes Anderson audience probably isn't naturally a rowdy, obnoxious group. So, as opposed to, like, say, them playing Labyrinth again or The Room.
Right.
But still, like, you know, there wasn't the person just constantly, like, whispering, you know, or the couple on a date who are just like, oh, I like Wes Anderson. Like, we know, that's why we're here. I also finished...
but you guys shut up.
I also finished the Ninja Turtles 1987 cartoon series.
Right on. What's the overall consensus on the entirety of it?
Easier to watch than I remember because, like I said, I've watched the first season countless times. They were on VHS. The storyline and animation was more in tune with like following like a serialized arc. And then seasons 2 through 7 are kind of like mostly all the episodes are very similar where some tiny alien from Dimension X with crazy powers comes. The Shredder wants to harness it, and the turtle it's unwittingly creating havoc across the city. So the turtles are trying to like not punish the creature, but capture it and send it back or
Subdue
whatever.
It, yeah.
Yeah. So and there's a lot of variations of that. Or what else?
Does it get like
the Shredder develops a new technology, and they have to stop it. A lot of the new technologies just involve reversing the mutation of things, or making new, and in the process, reversing that creates new, worse mutants and stuff. So,
right on.
But since last week, the biggest change is that by season 8, they revamped the show. And so it starts the era, and I was looking this up online, that a lot of fans call the Red Sky era, where the show's darker, the animation is slightly grittier and more polished. But yeah, Channel 6 gets blown up, and April's out of a job, so she becomes a freelancer. The Turtles get extra mutant powers because of something that I forget happened. Probably like a mutagen ray or no, something of just because of the amount of time they've been alive, like their cells have changed, so they start growing into larger, more beastly mutants if they get excited or like challenged.
It's almost like it's an allegory.
And yeah, it's a weird, jarring like jump. But this is like I think 1994 when that first season happens. And so I think the last episode, which was season 10, ended in 96.
So they lasted 2 years within that newer kind of mold of...
Yeah, and they went from like 40 episodes a season down to like 8 or 12. And then it did go back to like a serialized format where the Shredder and Krang are almost secondary characters, and there's this new threat called Lord Dreg, just some like weird conquering alien from another dimension. And yeah, and it's unfortunate that after 10 years of like this phenomenon, the last episode is just the Turtles pushing Dreg into Dimension X, which enemies of countless. After 10 years, it should have been like a duel to the end against Shredder, but like a couple episodes before, Dreg like uses him and Krang to do something, and then they just disappear, and I had to keep going back and watching like what happened to those two. So anyway.
The end of, I mean, shouldn't the end be that they grow up to become adult Ninja Turtles?
No. It's been 30 years, so it's not going to happen.
Then they go to a train station and lead their kids off to become new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and then John Williams music plays.
Don't associate with Harry Potter, please. So, yeah.
I'm sorry, I had to do it.
And I was hoping Ryan would be here because I thought he'd appreciate this the most, but I also, a couple weeks ago, I bought the Office the Complete Series.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
box
that's right.
set, because I'm like, I guess they're never going to put this on Blu-ray like I want.
Yeah, no, they don't care about you or I or Ryan.
Yeah.
They especially don't care about Ryan.
But
Universal. I mean.
I was hoping there's I think season 6 episode called Koi Pond where Michael falls into a koi pond on a business meeting.
Yeah.
And Jim doesn't like help him. Because he's pissed off that Jim recently becomes like a co-manager, and Michael's being petty about it. So he's constantly talking down to Jim, and so Jim's like, I can go on this meeting by myself. Michael won't let him, and so when he falls in the koi pond, it's a bit of a controversy when Jim doesn't help out. But that's all to say, when that aired, there was a cold open where it was the Halloween episode, and Dunder Mifflin built a haunted house in the paper warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
And it was controversial because at the end of the sequence, so Daryl's like pushing all these kids along in like a giant flatbed stroller,
right?
And so they're going along and they see different like perverse things, like I think someone's being operated on. It's like a really dark haunted house for what it should be for kids. But at the very end, the lights like come on and Michael drops out of the ceiling, hanging from a noose, and like starts convulsing and frightening the kids. And I guess, yeah, naturally, some people would be upset by that. I don't care.
That sounds like
I think it's hilarious.
It is hilarious, but it also doesn't sound like the worst thing in the world at all.
Yeah, and after he's done convulsing, he starts to go on this like thing about like, like don't try suicide, kids. There's hotlines or helplines out there if you ever feel like you want to end it. So it has like a pretty good message in the end. But yeah, so I was like, oh, well, it's missing from Netflix, but I'm like, oh, like, that makes sense because it was but they would at least have it on the Blu-ray or the DVD. It's not on that episode, so I was like, oh, at least it's on the deleted scenes, right? It's not even on the deleted scenes. So
so it's just completely gone?
Yeah, you can only watch it online from like YouTube, from people uploading it, or NBC.com actually has the clip, but it's like buried down there. But I'm like, why not even have it in the deleted scenes? Like, so now it still feels incomplete. But yeah, now the episode just starts with them in the office. So there's no like, and it's weird because every description of the episode on the box, on the website, on Netflix, talk about the Halloween cold open, but you never see it.
Do you think the original like DVD release of it might have it, or
no? Because the complete series is just them repackaged. So
okay.
Then there's I didn't really like rewatch the episodes. I just listened because I've only ever watched the series on Netflix, so I'm digging into bonus features. And there's commentaries, but they're not for every episode, which is a shame. And a lot of the episodes you want to know stuff about, they don't have commentaries for, which is a shame. The first season has Steve Carell on it. I think he maybe does one episode in season 2. The good thing about the sparse commentaries, though, is that they have a lot of people in the room. So, like, each one has, 6 to 8 people talking at once.
Nice.
So you do get a lot of information. Like, I guess Jim's hair is fake in season 3 because he was doing Leatherheads.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the George Clooney movie, yeah.
Yeah, like an interesting behind the scenes. I think in season 5 they do a commentary with. It's funny because in season 4 I think BJ Novak talks about like, hey, sometime we should get like the craft service table to do commentary for the show. And then in season 5 they have the craft service people do one of the episodes, and they talk about like what the stars likes to eat because they all have personal chefs and stuff.
Yeah.
Jenna Fisher mentions that her husband likes the color teal. That's his favorite color.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, her husband was James Gunn.
Oh.
So, yeah.
That's right.
So that's an interesting trivia fact for James Gunn.
There you go.
That his favorite color is teal. So I'm going to go back and look at Guardians of the Galaxy. And
just don't go up to him if you meet him one day and be like, I heard you like teal.
Yeah.
How'd you find out? Office commentary. Please don't hit me, Gunn.
And then the last best thing is the final season with Michael Scott. There's an episode called that they do Michael Scott finishes Threat Level Midnight as a film, and it becomes an episode.
Right.
And the great thing about the special features is there's the full version of Threat Level Midnight with bonus scenes that were not in the episode.
Really?
Yeah. So.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
I might want to borrow just that one season from you then.
Yeah, I expected to here's a condensed version of everything I saw in the episode, but no, there's probably another good 5 to 10 minutes of extra stuff to pad that out.
It's been a long time since I rewatched The Office. After I'm done with Star Trek, maybe I'll go ahead and do that.
Yeah, I've been trying not to watch it so that I could forget gags and be surprised. So, but yeah, once I'm not watching the episodes, so I'm just watching the bonus features. So I'm trying to give time to make it feel fresh again.
Yeah, it sucks that they're not all on each episode. But I outside of The Simpsons and Futurama, I don't know of any series box set where I got commentary on every single episode. Like, I would get them on a majority of them, though.
Yeah.
Seinfeld, I think, had commentary on a majority of their stuff.
I think The Simpsons did too, right?
The Simpsons has it on every single episode. Like, even the ones that you wouldn't give a shit about. And Futurama was the same. At least it was... I don't know what the later Netflix seasons were... Or not Netflix, Comedy Central seasons were like, though, because my DVD tenure with it ended with Into the Wild Green Yonder. So I never picked up the... I watched the later episodes just on Netflix. But yeah, even season 18 of The Simpsons, like, all episodes have commentary. Now, granted, like, I don't think Matt Groening does every single one of them anymore, though. I think that it's really relegated to Al Jean and Mike Reese, or maybe just Al Jean talking.
I heard they retconned Marge and Homer's marriage again recently, so that sucks.
How this time?
I don't know how. I just saw a headline that said like, because over the years they've been doing it subtly. Yeah. I mean, it's what, 35 years now, 30 years.
Yeah.
Changes are going to happen, but I mean, that's kind of when you're in love with the first couple seasons as we are. It's kind of like.
Well, I've never given up on it, but it's hard for me to watch anything beyond season 12, because then after that, the stories start becoming less and less like clever. I guess it is like the movie's it is the rare exception. The movie is the rare exception where I can watch that and it feels like a combination of all the things it wants to be and that old stuff. So, but yeah, it's tough. I still love The Simpsons though. They'll never stop it, you know.
No, not.
Have no fears. They got stories for years. Like Marge becomes a robot. Maybe Moe gets a cell phone.
That's all I got for this week.
Sweet. I didn't watch a lot this week. After the show last week, we were talking about Darkman, and I was like, I want to watch Darkman again. So I watched Darkman again. That movie's so fun and so messed up. I fucking love it. One thing I noticed in this version, though, that I didn't notice prior viewings, because like I don't watch it as often as I do The Shadow and whatnot. But like when I did watch it, I was watching it with that in mind. But if I took myself out of that frame of reference and whatnot, it's a fun, messed up, just mad scientist movie. Like that has no connotation of Sam Raimi wanting to do something that he didn't get to do. So like I actually appreciated it more on the level of just its own thing. Because like the reason I can look at it in that Shadow context is because you do get those direct-to-video sequels like Return of Durant and stuff like that, where Jeff Fahey plays the scientist. So it's interesting to look at it as just its own thing. And at the end of the day, Liam Neeson's playing kind of a serial killer in the movie. Like he's not a great person.
It's like a dark man.
Whereas like the Shadow is more trying to like I guess give a hero bent to Lamont Cranston. There's nothing. It's a tragic figure in Darkman, but he doesn't really become heroic until the last like 20 minutes of the film. So, because the rest of it is just like, I'm going to get revenge on all those people who fucked me over. So, but some of the stuff, like the visual effects are really great still in that film. Like, I actually liked watching them on the HD TV this time as opposed to just watching on my laptop, because some of that practical stuff really pops. Rewatched Shawshank again. I like Shawshank. It's like one of those perfect films. I didn't really like. There's sometimes I'll focus on one character more than another, and for some reason, like up until the moment he leaves the film, I focused a lot on Brooks, the James Whitmore character, and kind of how he interacts with everyone from his perspective, and it made like his letter to the boys in the prison all the more like heartbreaking and whatnot. Like every word he said like kind of hits like a fucking like punch to the gut. So Frank Darabont really good at filmmaking and whatnot. I wish he'd do more, but I think he's fine doing what he does in script doctoring or getting fired from Walking Dead. I don't know. So yeah, there's that. I started back up on the Star Trek binge. Last week I kind of took a break because I was just kind of burnt out. So I'm back on it, and I want to say I've got like maybe 6 more episodes to go before I can go to the movies. Or wait, no, I still got the animated series. Never mind. But there's some good ones in there. Like, Tholian Webb's great. I really liked the idea that they were able to work in a story with Spock and McCoy like that. Like I'd seen before, but like when I was younger, I didn't watch them like with the same reverence for the characters as I have down the line, going on down the line. And so watching that episode, that might be one of my top 10 episodes of all time, is watching them try to really get to the core of why they maybe don't like each other, or at least why McCoy can't stand Spock, because Spock just goes with the flow, because that's his way. And then the thing, and I texted you this earlier, and this would have been probably funnier if we had much more people in the room, but Scotty's a fucking drunk. Like, I'm just gonna say it, like, flat out. Like, I don't remember him drinking a shit ton in the movies. I remember McCoy drinking more. But there's like a good portion of episodes from the latter half of season 2 into season 3 where Scotty is either drinking scotch, drinking like some form of ale, or trying to outdrink someone, or if someone tells him this is the antidote to the poison that's been affecting the entire crew, I mixed it with alcohol. He said, oh, so then it shouldn't be an issue, and then he just walks off with that glass, only to assume he's going to drown it with a bottle of scotch. So,
I don't remember that at all.
I just, like, seriously, like, I seriously want to, like, since I've got the Blu-rays now, like, but I want to try to get the DVDs so I can rip them and make a compilation of every time Scotty says I'm going to have a drink. Like, I could probably get about a good 9 minutes out of it. But it was interesting just to see, like, that was an aspect to Scotty's character I never knew. So, how the fuck he could pilot that spaceship for so many years is fucking beyond me.
He doesn't pilot spaceship.
Well, not or like fix it, I guess, because like think about all the times the Enterprise has been under crisis.
Yeah, so he's not like switching out nuts and bolts.
Yeah,
like in the wrong way.
For all I know, the Enterprise is made up of just liquor bottles. But
a lot of holes are just plugged with whiskey bottles.
Engineer Scott, there's some kind of hole in the lower deck. Stick a cork in it. Yeah. It actually, but I did text you also that it makes Simon Pegg's portrayal of the character in the first 2 especially much more meaningful, because there's a lot of portions in 1 and then 2 where the best scenes with Scotty are when he's drinking. So whether it's with those like big ice ball ice cubes and the scotch and whatnot, but. So I was just like, this makes Simon Pegg just an even better actor than I already thought he was. So yeah, I'm gonna keep going with that and see where we go with it. I rewatched The Invisible Man from 1930 because I was just kind of watching some old monster movies, and Ryan's right, and I've known it all along. But yeah, he might be the worst of the monsters. He's just a straight up murderer. There's no sympathy for him. Like, even Dracula, kind of like, oh, well, he's dead, and he's got no one. But no, he's just a straight-up murderer. He just kills people because he's gone insane from a drug. And so, therefore, his redemption at the end is kind of hard to, like, justify in my head. Because I'm just like, oh, yeah, it's cool that you, like, got back with your girl right before you died, but, like, you derailed a train and murdered, like, hundreds of people. So, but anyway, and then the last thing I watched is, I'm not finished with it yet, but I want to talk about it. So it's a Netflix came out with a new docuseries called Wild Wild Country, which is a presentation from the Duplass brothers. And it's a 6-episode series. Each episode's about an hour. I'm on halfway through part 5 right now. And it's about the Rajneeshi cult in Antelope, Oregon, in the 80s, in the late, early to mid 80s. And that's all I can really say to you in terms of plot, because if I spoil how it starts and how it progresses, it's going to ruin it for anyone trying to watch it. Like, even you, like, I really think you should watch it. Like, I think you'd, like, just, it's, I was kind of impressed with Making a Murderer when you guys were, like, all excited about it. That's when I, like, and then I finally watched it and I was like, I get why they're excited about it. I have that level of what the fuck with this story, because it's almost like M. Night Shyamalan directed every episode or wrote the story for this whole goddamn experience. Because every time I think I understand the rules of the game, someone throws in a new rule of the game and does it by, like, kicking me in the groin. Because I my jaw kept dropping at just, like, all the shit that went on with this cult. That essentially, it's a sex cult, but that's not really what they are. Like, that's just what the mainstream media, I guess, perceives them to be. But, like, they have, like, much broader ideas, but they also have a lot of, like any cult, they have a lot of, like, dysfunction, and it just ends up going kaboom. But the way it progresses is just so fucking nuts that at some point, like, the best way I can, like, pitch it to you is, like, at some point by the 4th episode, the people that are being interviewed, and you think you understand whose side everyone's on and whose everybody's position is, they hit you with a bombshell that makes you question who you've been listening to the entire time. And this is all stuff that's like 35 years old. So it's public record. It's Oregon public record. So you don't have to watch this doc. But if you want to learn about this story in a very well-shot, well-executed, well-edited format, I would recommend it. It's called Wild Wild Country. I don't even know how it's going to fucking end. Like, I'm just assuming the world will blow up at the end at this point because it's that fucking nuts. Like, we're not here, Brad. The world ended at the end of Wild Wild Country, and we're just, like, talking in some kind of void in space. So yeah, but that's all I saw this week. Sweet.
I guess that brings us to
this week. We saw Pacific Rim Uprising. Brad, should people go see Pacific Rim Uprising?
I guess if you're a fan of the first movie, you might enjoy this. I was okay with the original, so there wasn't like a lot of anticipation on this for me. I would say compared to what I haven't seen that since we reviewed it. I think in 2012, 2013.
2013, yeah.
So my memory wasn't that great, but I felt like this one was more fun, and that's because it is more cartoonish and not as dark and dim as the previous one. So otherwise, it's kind of like I almost had the same feeling as watching a Transformers movie that wasn't as obnoxious.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think if you haven't been sold by the trailer yet, you probably won't be. So,
right.
How about you, Zach?
Well, I would love to tell you what I thought, but I also want to really quickly find out what Clint Eastwood thought of Pacific Rim Uprising, because his son stars in the movie. Great review, Clint. Yeah, go see the movie.
Weird, that sounded just like you grunting.
Mm-hmm. Well, a grunt's a grunt, a growl's a growl, and a swell is a swell. Read my article series, people.
Nice sell.
Growls and swells. It's. I think I do need to change the title of it to something else at some point. But anyway, Manwood.
Ryan, what did you think of the movie?
Yeah.
I'm Ryan, and as for Pacific Rim, the movie was meh. I did not get into the story and did not care for any of the characters. Scott Eastman was horrible in it.
Eastwood.
Oh, that's right. Way to go, Ryan. Well, he said he wasn't into the characters. Why do you expect him to remember his name? Because that was bad. It could be he did not buy that Scott Eastwood was badass at all. It could be the dialogue because that was bad for all the characters. I took Kellen with me and he loved it. He liked the robots fighting and the monsters were awesome, he said. But overall, you do not need to go see it, and it's not a rush to see the movie. And I guess part of the thing I forgot from mine was like the robot fights are fun. However, they are very few and far between. I think there's one. It takes a while to get started, and there's one fight, and then there's a lot of character development until the finale. So that's and after the movie, the server asked me like if I liked it, and he hadn't seen it yet, and I was trying to rationalize like, well, there's not a lot of robot fighting, but also like this isn't a $200 million movie, so probably there's only 2 robot fights. Granted, they're spectacular when they happen, but like that's where all the money's at, and they can't, spend a ton of money on CGI people to do 5 different sequences, that are at that level.
Right. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, I'm gonna say if you like the first one, go see it, because one of the things I also watched this week was the original Pacific Rim, and I had not seen it since the first one, and seen it since theaters, and I like the universe that they set up in the first one, and I like the universe they're continuing on with in this second film. That said, though, I feel like it limits your crowd. And so, like, if you didn't see the first Pacific Rim, some stuff that's actually pretty important in the story it might go over your head. Like, even if you saw the first one and haven't seen it in a while, might want to catch up on that first one because there's an important plot point for why they're doing what they're doing. But if you eliminate all that, yeah, it's just a fun Saturday morning cartoon, and it was lots of fun to watch. I don't think Scott Eastwood's a travesty in the film, but he's not as charismatic as John Boyega, so that's like an unfair comparison.
Should we talk more about it after the trailer?
Yeah, I think we should. Play a trailer, please, Brad, for Pacific Rim Uprising.
Jake, your father always said he wanted you to be a pilot.
He said a lot of things. I'm not a hero like he was.
The kaiju. They're gonna come back. I'm not gonna be stuck waiting for someone else to come save my ass.
Cadets,
you better gear up.
This is the way the world ends.
How'd they get into our world?
Someone let them in. Someone from our world.
Who is that?
Definitely not one of ours.
Let's do this.
This is your chance to make things right.
We're gonna need more pilots. We have them. There are pilots we remember as legends, but they didn't start out that way. They started out like us. This is our time to make a difference. Do you understand? Jaeger pilots, do you understand?
One way to find out.
That's what I'm talking about!
Gonna be a long day.
What do we do?
We fight! Those on top of me.
It's interesting you say you should watch the movie, because I felt like what drags this movie down is there's a lot of like lazy writing where the characters are having conversations that are expositional about the previous movie.
Mm-hmm. But I feel like that if you're even though they're informing you about stuff that happened the last time, I still feel like since they're throwing out a bunch of technical shit regarding it, like if you don't know what a Jaeger is going in or a kaiju or whatever like that, like it's going to go over your head. Like, even though they describe it in the first... Everything they describe in the prologue of this film is, like, expecting that you kind of already know certain things. So if you know absolutely nothing about this, you will be lost.
Yeah. Well, the prologue's fine because
Yeah.
that like made sense that like there's a narrator.
Right, but they but they kind of it's just like.
But when the character's like walking around the base or whatever, saying like, "Don't you do that? Don't do it that way. Like that time your father died.
Exactly.
Don't you remember?" I'm like, are you talking to him or me, the audience? Because it feels like you're talking to me instead of that guy.
Yeah, it's so like when I was watching this film, like there's a moment where I was taken out of it, especially having rewatched the first film this week. Is that like I felt like they were trying to soft reboot me in a weird way, and they didn't know how to do it because it's been 5 years since the last one.
I know that's like 4 years of high school. Like that's not a lot of. It's not like Star Wars after 20 years.
Yeah, like it's like you can kind of go off faith that someone's seen Pacific Rim at some point on DVD or like even if it was on Prime for a minute. But anyway, the story, it's 10 years after the previous film where the barrier where the monster aliens have been coming through the bottom of the ocean was closed by Idris Elba's character's protege. And in that film, Idris Elba's died. So his son, played by John Boyega, is narrating the story 10 years later where because the war has ended, the Jaeger's existence is kind of being called into question in general. Whereas they could
why are we spending a ton of money on this thing we don't need?
Yeah, when you could just like have drones that operate at less cost. And his character is kind of like just a dropout party boy, doesn't really give a shit about like Jaegers or kaiju at all, and just wants to. I liked their barter system in the prologue, like the whole idea of like his.
Yeah, with all the destruction, like the world economy is all messed up.
Yeah, so like the value of stuff, like you could trade a car for like a pack of sriracha, like that's what this economy is. It was interesting, and the opening sequence is pretty fun. Like they're trying to rob a Jaeger piece of technology and whatnot, and then that's when Jake Pentecost, John Boyega's character, meets up with a young girl who's built her own Jaeger, but it's small as shit compared to an actual Jaeger. And that kind of leads into a whole thread in the movie about doesn't matter if you're small or doesn't matter if you're big, you can do whatever you want, which is fine. They get arrested, and the whole story's basic motivation is John Boyega's character is forced by his sister, who was Riko Kukinchi from the first film, to train the young
half-sister.
Half-sister. To train the young cadets to become Jaeger operators, and he has to team up with his old partner, who is played by Scott Eastwood.
And he's forced to do it because he gets into trouble, and his choice is either jail or training.
Right. So which, what's funny is like actually like, Ryan's not the only one who didn't like Eastwood in the film, and I feel weird that I'm having to take a defense stand on this because I'll agree I did not like him in like Furious 8 and whatnot, and every time I've really seen him in a film, I haven't been a big fan. Like I just think I feel like he's uncomfortable sometimes on screen. I felt he was fine in this film. Like I don't think it was like he wasn't any worse than like any guy you'd get to go up against Boyega, who's clearly got charisma and clearly got like a sense of humor about him. And to be fair, Scott Eastwood's character is supposed to be the stuck-up, like, drill sergeant-y guy.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm actually thinking, mission accomplished, dude. You did your job. Like,
yeah, I'm sure it's a script where his character just wasn't given interesting stuff to talk about.
Yeah, I know. Like, it's at the end of the day, like, you're dealing with a character that probably would have been more interesting if it was, like, Charlie Hunnam from the first film, because, like, there was something to build off of. But you're just throwing in this new character, and again, like I give him all the props in the world. It takes a lot to step into a franchise where you're not like the established character and whatnot, and like you have to start things anew to a degree. Because in this film, anybody who's established from the first film, like you really don't know where they're gonna go in this film because like Rico's character dies. The half sister, who was fighting with Charlie Hunnam in the first film, she dies in a big helicopter attack when a drone Jaeger or like a rogue Jaeger that comes out of the sea attacks the city. And
I did think that the strategy of the what's the opposite of the Jaegers?
Oh, the precursors, the kaiju.
The kaiju. I did think their plan was pretty interesting and like pretty strategic. So. The other cool surprise is that Charlie Day,
who was in the first film,
and was funny, is back, and he's funny, but he's also the villain in a
yeah,
way.
it's because, and there's an explanation for it, is that like in the first film, he had to drift, basically like he mind melded or something with the kaiju
brain
in order to figure out what the secrets of the kaiju drift was, like how they could stop the kaiju. Well, I guess when you link up with one kaiju, you link up with all of them, and then you link up with the precursors themselves, which are the aliens that create the kaiju. And so
they start operating through him.
Yeah, and they start like kind of like giving him like brain highs and whatnot. So he'll come off a day of work and he'll like drift with the kaiju just to like quote unquote like get high.
Yeah.
And so like he's become so far gone that when the twist happens, there's only like one shred of him left that's trying to like plead out for help and say I'm sorry. It's an interesting scene for Charlie Day in a movie that has a bunch of other totally different tone stuff going on in it. Like this idea of like him like really being sorry for letting it go this far, but at the same time it's he then turns into cartoon villainy.
Yeah.
And it's fine. It's Charlie Day. Like, he can play that well.
Yeah. But anyway, they use the I already forgot the creature's name again. Kaiju?
The kaiju precursors.
The kaiju, he builds like a back door into the drones that he's been working on. And so all the kaiju are able to take over all the other drones, and so it becomes like mass hysteria.
That's a cool sequence when the like you see kaiju popping out of the robots like a fucking like egg and
which
whatnot.
is like, I think when I reviewed the first one, it was like, this is the Neon Genesis Evangelion movie that I wish Weta was supposed to make like 20 years ago. So like that part like reminded me of episodes where like the beast within would break out of the mechanical shells and become all disordered and stuff. So that was cool. So that was interesting. But like I said, there's a lot of stuff you have to sit through to get there.
Yeah.
And John Boyega's funny, which is it helps.
I mean, I think the issue I have with this film is that it's not as well told as the first one. At the end of the day, it's fun, and I would totally watch it again. And hell, I would love to see a third one. Like I'm hooked into the universe to where I'm like, yeah, like I understand the rules, I understand the twists now. Give me a third one, like, and end it in a way that makes it nice and neat on my Blu-ray shelf. But I don't think that's going to happen based off of what I read in the box office reports, unless it does like fucking amazing overseas, which it could.
It did better than expected, so
yeah. But yeah, like ultimately at the end of the day, like I mean, it's come to the point, especially the last couple of weeks, because Black Panther's dominated everything. Like if you don't have any other like option that you're willing to go do, like if you're not going to go see Love, Simon, then yeah, go see the robot fighting movie. I mean, like make up your mind.
Yeah, well, you got Ready Player One next week, so
yeah, I mean,
we'll
you get Spielberg next week, so like, I mean, but I'm not going to lie, I do want to see Black Panther again. But yeah, Uprising, it was fun. I mean, and the three kaiju turning into one mega high kaiju was.
Yeah, I thought that was cool too.
That was like fucking. I was like, holy fucking shit! It's bigger than the fucking robots.
Yeah, that was weird too. Is the Jaegers? Like I guess you just have to assume that people evacuated the city enough, because eventually the Jaegers just start cutting down buildings and throwing them at the robot. So like the good guys.
Well, do you remember that like in the movie they were going through like. They were all there was a big group that was going into one area that then lowered into the ground.
Mm-hmm.
It's my understanding that there's a bunch of those all around the damn city because of these monsters.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a
past.
huge city with a lot of buildings. It's just like,
I mean, like,
and how do you, like, does everyone have a sensor that says like, oh yeah, everyone's underground? Like, I'm sure there's people like, I don't know what to do. I should just hang out in this corner until this all blows over. I don't know. It seemed a little dangerous when there's people complaining about like Zack Snyder blowing up whole cities.
In my defense, I also did not want a scene going like, we've evacuated the entire city. Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'm like, we're too smart for that now, because a bunch of people on the internet fucking whined and complained about Snyder's film. But anyway, I had fun with it. You know what's funny in a way, though? Like Pacific Rim and Uprising, like those two, those gave me what Transformers doesn't have and doesn't have the capacity to give me. And I think it's because like I actually care about the characters and I don't have to be confused about which person is fighting who, because one, they're not robots fighting robots fighting monsters. But two, like, there's a human element to it, and like I mean, Optimus Prime is fine, but at the end of the day, like, it's very hard to see sympathy with a guy who can crush a fucking building with his foot. So, but anyway, yeah, that was fun. If you like a Saturday morning cartoon, that's what it's kind of like. Maybe they should do the cereal party for that one. Anyway, next week, you'll get to go to the Oasis and see Ready Player One. I think there's something else, but it's not a major thing. But
Isle of Dogs is out in limited release, so
right. But I think we've already come to the conclusion if we can't get them to come out now. But yeah. So Ready Player One, we'll see. Has the newspaper headline that I sent to you guys earlier in the week. Can Spielberg remember how to have fun? Which, again, I really wanted to just be an old man learns how to have fun again movie, but with Spielberg in it. Like Scorsese can play his like friend who he gets out of the retirement home in a big breakout. You know, it would be fun.
Okay.
I have fun dreams. This is what happens when you spend 100 episodes with me guys. Anyway, bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Real Nerds Podcast. Real Nerds Podcast is a production of Nebulous Visions Multimedia. Thank you to Sparks Mandrill and Plan 9 Studios for our kick-ass theme song. Also, if you're in the Denver area and you're looking for a cool place to see movies, we see them at the Alamo Drafthouse in Littleton and now also in Sloan's Lake. Thank you to Colorado Coins, Cards, and Comics for supplying us with all our comic needs, especially you, Andrew. You know who you are. And a big shout out to James's mom. I'm giving you an electronic hug that you can feel through the airwaves. Thanks for listening, and have a nice day.